Okay, so I've had a good clean down, because as much as I actually like machining cast iron, I actually find it a nice metal to machine. I don't do it very often, but it is not really good for your machinery. So I'm sure that a lot of you that are watching this have seen other YouTubers fiercely clean their machines down, and rightly so. If you've got an old knackered machine, it probably really doesn't matter so much, and you probably don't care so much. But this machine, I've had it from new, or nearly new. I think I've told you the story about this. And I want to try and keep it as good a condition as possible. So I do try and keep it relatively clean. At the very least, when I finish the job, hoover it down. But cast iron, I've had a wipe out of all the way, oil it, cleaned, oiled. So on with the project. So this device that I'm putting the guide in, it normally sits on this mount, and to be fair, I don't know why I have it on the mount. It never sits at anything other than 90 degrees. So I've taken it off, and just going to put that by for now, out of the way. It's only a cheapy one. It's alright. Pretty much generic kind of pattern. I think John Mills Double Boost has got one very similar looking actually. I'm thinking about cutting this off, because I never mount it that way anyway, and if you did, it's still got 2 bolt fixings you can use. And when you do have it hanging at the back, it hangs out the back and you can't go all the way back, and you end up doing things like that, if you can see that. But anyway, that's something else. For now, I want to cut this slot in it. So if you're doing it, you've got to cut it where your bolts are, really. So you need to put your guide mounted on the bottom of your vise, ideally where your bolt holes are, because you're always going to be using your bolt holes to hold your vise down, or let's hope so. You could put it up here or down here, but of course if you wanted to mount it anywhere else, there's a potential that it's no longer going to line up. So I haven't quite made my mind up yet how I'm going to mount this, or how I'm going to fix it on, but it's going to have to go just there. So my idea of machining this square as I can is to use the part that I've just machined. So we know that this fits accurately in the slot. So what I'm thinking is, if we then mount this in the vise, theoretically, I believe if you turn this over, put that in the slot, clamped it down, theoretically it's square as you're going to get it. At least to my mind that's the case. Is it? Not sure. I don't quite know how else to do it. I could possibly move that up, use a longer bit and try and trim it just to make sure. I'm sure I've checked the keyways and they are actually square. Maybe that's the thing I should do. Maybe I will do that. Let's do that. Okay, so put my dial gauge in. Let's see if we can zoom out a little bit. There we are. And let's I've locked my table. So let's have a look and see if my table's straight. Is there anything you can do about it? I don't think there is anything you can do about it anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I just thought I would see how much travel I actually got. I've got it marked. I know where the maximum travel is. Oh, wrong way. I've got marks down here which tell me when I'm reaching my travel limit. Now I've modified this. I'm sure I put it in a post on Facebook, or I don't know if I did a video or not, I can't remember, to give me a bit more travel. But anyway, let's go back the other way. Move the crap I've got kicking about. So what have we got? 0.05, 0.06, 0.06 out. That's millimetres. So let's just do another sweep of the whole length of the bed. Interestingly, according to my DRO, full travel is 422 millimetres. Here we come, up to a stop. Yeah. So over the full length, according to that, you don't actually 0.05 of a millimetre. And if I'm reading that right in inches, it's 2 thou. That's pretty bloody good, I think. Right, these are still loose at the moment, and this is the way I've got it set up. But I just wanted to check, and I've got this sitting in there, and although there's movement that way, because it's not pinned down, I've got no play side to side in that at all. So I was really pleased with the way that sits in our slots. So all in all, we should be good to go. So I thought I would actually just make sure that the way I've got it mounted on the table, I've actually clamped it down on top of what is now the bottom of the jaws. So the jaw tops on both the front and back jaw are what's actually levelling it now. Well, with these vices there is always a slight bit of movement when you do the front jaw up, and it always has a habit of lifting. I've checked this actually, and this vice actually is pretty good. There's very little movement in the jaws up and down. But I'd like to know if this is level, how much difference it would make in the machining and then the fit. Probably not a great deal, but if I can get it perfectly level, all the better. So I've set my dial indicator up to run along this surface here, and we'll see what we get. So I've got this set to 0, as far back travel as I can. So let's see what we've got. Make sure the bed's unlocked. Yeah. Oh, we're nearly off there. So, for the imperialists out there, 10 foul, 0.25, 0, yeah, no, 0.25. I'd like to improve on that a little bit. Okay, so what I've done, or at least what I found first of all, was if I slackened off the 2 original clamps I had and just pressed down on it, I did find there was a little bit of rock to and fro. So that can only be the fact that the 2 jaws are not entirely square with one another, or level should I say. So as it's sitting on the 2, as it clamps down, it pitches down towards the back. So what I've done is I've put 2 more clamps on at the front, or as far forward as I can, and I'm going to balance it out between the 2 sets, and then once I've got it set, hopefully it will still be rigid enough to mill the slot. So now it's just a matter of balancing them and going from there. Right. Let's set that to 0 and see what we've got. So they're still about the same. Didn't know if you zoomed in. That is mighty close now. That flicker there is where the vice was mounted on the original swivel base. It's got a bit of a mark in the base. Well, that is bloody close enough for me. Right, that'll do. Let's machine.